headbang.
My Skype line. I've got Tuomas. I'm not gonna try to pronounce it because I'm gonna sound funny.
Yeah.
Can you say it?
Tuomas Saukkonen.
Amazing. Of Wolfheart. That's at least that's the reason we're talking today. Wolfheart. You've just released a new EP. Skull Soldiers is out for almost a week now.
Yeah.
It's quite soon after your latest release, Wolves of Karelia. However, I think that maybe you can't stand still. It's a matter of creativity. Tell me about it.
Yeah, there's actually the main reason is our previous album Wolves of Karelia came out right in the middle of the pandemic starting to shut down the whole world. So the album before that, the lifespan was about 8 months. We did almost 140 gigs after the album release. But now when the Wolves of Karelia came out, the lifespan of the album was 2 weeks because we didn't have any gigs, any tours, no festivals. So naturally that album it sold well, but it could have done a lot better in a normal circumstances. There was even a lot of countries in Central Europe that people couldn't even go to the record store. The cities were completely shut. We did this big pre-sale signed album campaign in North America, and the company that was hosting that, it was about 2 days, 2 days before they were supposed to send the albums. There was a lockdown and only essential business was allowed. So they were not allowed to go to the warehouse where all our albums were. So like in every region and every like continent, we all getting so much bad news. So we wanted to make the sequel because we thought like the album died way too soon. And of course, no tours for the whole last and probably this year. There's plenty of time to write new music also. So it was a good thing to keep the band active because we were prepared to have at least 120 traveling days last year. So it's like 1/3 of the time suddenly became free time. So it was really good for the band to be able to focus something new and interesting.
The sound in Skull Soldiers is rather different than Wolves of Karelia. It's Karelia, sorry. I mean, Skull Soldiers is really raw. It's really powerful. And then there's Hereditary, which is more soulful, sentimental. It could even be a ballad if the guitars. What does that mean for Wolfheart? Are you shifting again?
I actually picked up that quite well. There's I've already have written most of the next album, and half of those songs have been already like pre-produced. So I know very well how the next album is going to sound like and how it's going to be musically. And I had the idea already when we were writing Skull Soldiers, the whole EP. So with the title track, I really wanted to get all the death metal out of my system, because the next album is not going to be that much death metal influence. It's going to be more direction of actually our first album, Winterborn. So it's going to be more melodic, not that brutal, if you can call it that way. But yeah, it's with the Skull Soldier, I really wanted to underline the war theme and the brutality of that, because I'm done with that subject now. I knew that already, that the next album is not going to be about war or battles. So
does that mean that you finally found peace, and that's?
Oh no, it's just and it wasn't my war that I was writing anyway. But I think we done enough of that subject now, and like the main inspiration of the band has always been nature, and that's gonna be the main theme of the next album, and I wanna dig a little bit deeper into like pagan mythology in Finland. So I'm gonna go further in the history, and we're gonna leave the wars
behind.
Yeah, we still have Sabaton in Sweden. They're gonna keep on continuing these war albums anyway. So
Okay. There's also an acoustic version where you're not singing.
mm,
You're
yeah,
sharing vocal duties. And I heard in another interview you did that you might even share even more the microphone. Is
yeah,
that something that we're going to see in Wolfheart?
yeah, definitely. There's now that Vagelis has been in a band over a year now, even though we didn't get the chance to play that much together because the whole pandemic thing. But he came to the band in the state where the previous album was already basically written. But now that when I was starting to write the new music, I already naturally I was aware of him being a member of the band, and I really like his own band, Full Crew. What about Full Crew?
As crew,
Yeah, yeah, it's
probably gonna see this. It's a
that.
good thing you're also a big guy.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna rephrase my answer. If Vageli still is in the band after this interview, now we are gonna use a lot of his vocals too, because he has a very powerful like vocals, and it's different from Laurie's and way different from mine. So each three vocals will bring a lot more into the album, and I think it's really gonna highlight a lot of the stuff on the next album.
Mm-hmm.
Because
How
my
does that?
sorry,
Sorry.
my vocals is mainly a rhythmical thing, and I don't have any interest of doing any clean vocals or any melodic thing. That's the way I do vocals. I enjoy doing, but it doesn't bring that much musically. It's a very like primitive and like a percussive thing. So adding two new sources of melody in our music is gonna be quite a big like impact, I think.
This you are thinking artistically. What you are basically saying is that you're going to use them like two more instruments in the sound
Yeah,
of the band.
yeah. And that's how they should be treated. They're but it's not just any instruments, but they're those when you talk about the human voices, it's leading instruments, not just the it's they are more than just instruments, but it will bring a lot more musically because it is it's kind of like adding two extra members in the band. I think that is better way to put it.
You are thinking artistically. What you are basically saying is that you're going to use them like two more instruments in the sound
Yeah,
of the band.
yeah. And that's how they should be treated. They're but it's not just any instruments, but they're those when you talk about the human voices, it's leading instruments, not just the it's they are more than just instruments, but it will bring a lot more musically because it is it's kind of like adding two extra members in the band. I think that is better way to put it.
I see. You chose to release Skull Soldiers digitally and in vinyl. That has to do that it's out over the pandemic, or is it something that you are thinking of? Is it a new direction you're thinking about? Is it because people are going back to vinyls?
It was actually label's idea, and
Oh,
I did like that idea. I'm not even a vinyl guy myself. I don't have a vinyl player. I don't have any of our vinyls. But I thought it's a really cool idea it's more exclusive or more special for the fans, and we did very limited edition of that in silver color. So I think it's more like special to the fans, the
Mm-hmm.
physical, because CD format as an EP is rather complicated. It still costs money to manufacture. It's really low price considering the vinyl, so it's a bad business for the label. And if business is bad for the label, eventually it's bad for the band also, because that's if we don't make money for the label, they're not going to invest money for our studio session, our videos, our tours. So it's I think it's like cooler to have only vinyl, but it's not like we're gonna focus only on vinyl in the future. So it's just this like special small middle release.
Okay. So you mentioned that you're almost in the middle of making a new album. Tell us a few things about it, and if you have any thoughts about when it's gonna come out.
Musically, I'm not gonna talk about because it's
Thank you.
it would be wrong thing to do because I wouldn't be able to explain music to anybody. That's not how music works. You listen and then you make your own opinion. Well, I can say it's going to be more into the direction of the debut album. That's the clear, like a lot less death metal stuff, a lot more like melodic and Scandinavian metal style. I have no idea when it would be out. Like this whole EP was scheduled also that it would come out when the touring would come back. That's what we thought last summer. Well, let's make an EP that we have some like a fresh release when we start touring again. But that didn't happen. We have to cancel all the tours from this year already. So now we need to be a little bit more careful because if we're gonna release the next album too early, that means that there's 3 releases without any touring. That would be really bad for our career.
So
So we're
you're
gonna
basically waiting for the COVID thing for the live shows to go back.
probably we'll see if the live shows don't come back in 2022, then that's too long of waiting again. Like we don't really know what's gonna happen in the world. We're gonna make the album during this year anyway, and then we schedule the whole release with the label how it looks the smartest thing. Of course, it wouldn't be good for us to wait for like a year with the ready album. It's gonna sound old for us. We eventually start writing new music, so it's a little bit complicated. A lot of reporters are asking like and like they are not just reporters, the fans and reporters, everybody outside the bands kind of like have this idea that it's a good time to write music because all the bands have the time and there's nothing much to do. So like writing music sounds like a good idea, but it also brings a lot of like a stress and frustration because as a metal band that is making most of the income with the touring, releasing albums without the tours is very complicated matter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to get that excited about the new music. I do love the new songs, but I always, when I think about the songs as part of an album, there's a certain amount of stress always because I don't know. This is the first time in our lifetime that I wouldn't be able to know which year it makes sense to release the album. So it's the uncertainty is a little bit like a bothering thing because what if the tours don't come back next year? Like that's not a very nice thought. But last summer everybody was certain like it's gonna be just this like last year, and then things are gonna be normal. So too many question marks. That's
For everyone.
yeah, yeah.
You're all identifying. I'm going to leave the music to one side now, and I'm going to ask you a few things about your personality because you're always such a funny guy. You're always making jokes.
Mhm.
And you're kind of lingering between joking about being the leader of the pack and these are our brothers, but they're not really family. You're kind of, you're it's like you're making fun of all the cheesy stuff
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
metal, but at the same time, you're not exactly ruling them out. Is that
No.
a part of your personality? How do you see that?
There's at least our management always is asking us to try to maintain this serious image. It would be better better in the metal scene, but there is insane amount of humor inside the band. That's why this lineup, especially these guys, it works so well because there hasn't been an incident or a fucked up situation that we could have just passed over with the humor. So it's we do make fun a lot of things all the time. So it's not like it is a whole metal brotherhood because I don't feel like I'm part of any scene or any group. So it's just this man of war attitude. It's just very amusing to me, like this brothers of metal. But at the same time, I do like consider the bandmates more than bandmates. They are like one of my best friends, and I would call them brothers in that sense. But when I call them metal brothers, then it goes into the humor side. So there's a I do mean the brotherhood in certain sense, but we probably usually make fun of it when we say it. But we just think it differently.
Okay. I myself prefer the funny side of you guys. It's one of the things I love about you guys, actually. I love the video you make about Full House Brew Crew.
Yeah, that was the name. Yeah.
So let's go back to the music and talk about the fact that you're constantly evolving as a musician and as a band as a whole. I mean, what drives you to take the next step towards shifting the music, changing the way you're using certain elements in your music? I mean, for example, you said that in the next album, probably Vangelis is going to be singing. You're going to use that. You're going to do stuff like that. Are there, what drives you? And is there anything that you wouldn't do?
I think it's the same thing drives me than any other songwriter. You just want things to be fresh yourself. But it depends who you ask. I know a lot of people that think that all of my albums with all of my bands, I've made 21 albums now, and all the albums sound exactly the same. It doesn't matter if the different vocals, different music style, different production, everything, but everything sounds the same to some people. So the main thing is just trying to keep things fresh yourself. I think that's pretty natural drive for every songwriter that at least I know.
Mm-hmm.
But none of them try to sound fresh for their audience. That's because you can never predict how they're gonna see and hear the music. So But then again, we have AC/DC that has been doing the same song since.
Since God knows when.
but, but that's another like point of view, because we also need bands like AC/DC, because everybody wants to hear the next AC/DC song. They don't want to hear the evolution of AC/DC, because that wouldn't be AC/DC. So, and they clearly do what they love. So, like, every songwriter should do what they feel like to do, and then it's fresh to somebody and it's boring and old to somebody else. So.
And is there anything that you wouldn't do? I mean, something that you would say, no, that's beyond my reach. I can't do that.
You mean in general in music, or
In,
in Wolfheart?
what?
In Wolfheart, or in general as a songwriter?
In general, as a
Oh.
songwriter.
I don't know. I've been doing so many different styles, and I don't think I would be good of making happy music,
Why?
because that would become a joke to me. I'm pretty sure, because it's not something that comes out naturally, and yeah, that I would need to force that. That wouldn't come naturally. So I wouldn't want to try and write happy music, because it would just sound silly to my ears, and I wouldn't want to like try and make black metal. Same reasons that I wouldn't try to make Christian metal, because I don't believe either sides of those. Both are basically based on the same fairy tale. So it's like yeah, that's and what I wouldn't try to do, because I don't believe in any of those. But otherwise, I would be open to anything.
So what is music to you? Because I can see from what you said that it's not happy. It's not something that it's not.
No,
You sing. You wouldn't sing about being happy. It's something more. What is it to you?
it's not like it needs to be sad. A lot of like if I would divide it roughly, Wolfheart is the positive side musically. That is, of course, I've been writing many years with thought in my mind that we're gonna play these songs live. Like a lot of the songs that when we write and rehearse, we already know that we're gonna enjoy playing this song live. So there's like a quite a big amount of energy inside those songs. But then the Dawn of Solace, that is there's no positive energy in those songs at all. It is not meant to do that kind of thing at all. And that is not sad because I meant like try to make it sad. It's just making music with Mikko, that's the result. He's the yeah, that's it depends on the band, but it doesn't need to be sad. But it's a different thing to try to write something that is happy. It's not that clear to like the difference between. It's not like but I have different ways to express like pure happiness. Music is not one of those.
That's a perfect closing note. So I'm not going to ask anything more.